Let's talk about the new Apostolic Reformation. Modern day apostles, modern day prophets, visions, and this deceptive movement that is in our society today that has crept into many churches, has crept onto large YouTube platforms, and is a legitimate issue in our society today because people, like myself at one time in my life, can easily be deceived into false teaching if we don't have a biblical understanding of truth. And so we can easily just jump online and click on the first teaching that comes up that says the name Jesus and call ourselves a Christian and just be hook, line, sinker into it without testing the spirit behind it. And if we're in a place like that, we can easily fall into a trap of one of the many false gospels. Like 2 Corinthians 11 says, Paul says there's going to be another Jesus, another spirit, and another gospel. Not that there is another one of those, but there's going to be infiltration within the Christian church trying to deceive us and take us down false paths. One of them is the New Apostolic Reformation, which is a very dark, twisted, deceitful system that is yoking people to seven areas of influence in our society. It's called the Seven Mountain Mandate or Dominionism. You'll often hear in churches saying kingdom work, kingdom territory. And dominionism simply just means taking over. And that's one of the words that would describe the Seven Mountain Mandate. Now, these teachings were created from a false teacher who was claimed to have visions from God over the Bible, and then started this hierarchy, also to speak, of apostles and prophets and these teachers who are exalted in our society today, who are given influence in people's lives who surrender to their teachings. And so we need to be able to test the spirits. We need to be able to test the teachers, the fruits of the teachings that we are infiltrated with. And so when I first became a Christian, I was watching Mike Todd on YouTube, and that was a huge mistake. A lot of the content I was watching, I'd freshly just come out of the New Age spirituality movement. A lot of the content I was watching from him was speaking into my life. And no kidding, the New Apostolic Reformation, I believe, has the same spiritual component to it that the New Age spirituality movement has, which is deceit and deception and darkness. And so we can fall into these teachings, learn the doctrine, and once we're yoked, then be placed in the seven spheres of influence of our society. And again, there's this doctrine of Seven Mountain Mandate where we have to infiltrate society, take it over in order for Jesus to come back. This is insane. It's nonsense. It is surprisingly, I don't know the exact number, but I would assume hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in this movement. And it's a very real thing. And the crazy thing is when I was yoked into it, I was put on one of the seven mountains. And it was absolutely wild. I was working in the media industry, which is one of the mountains. And the people I was connecting with were reflecting back to me also people who were in it as well. And by God's grace, how he saved me out of it, he actually used a woman who was in one of the false churches that I was a part of when I first got saved out of New Age spirituality. And I quite literally had coffee with this woman. And she said, do you know you're part of the New Apostolic Reformation? Do you know you're part of the Seven Mountain Mandate now? And I looked at her, I was like, this woman is nuts. I didn't know what she was talking about. And then I did my own research. I looked at the church I was watching online, which was Mike Todd's church, compared to the church that I landed here where I was living at the time. And I'm like, oh, okay, this all connects. This is the same exact doctrine. And then I come to find out this is massive in our entire world. This is quite literally an exaltation of people who have yoked their soul to who they think is Jesus Christ, but it's not. It's a false Christ. And now they're in this system called the Seven Mountain Mandate, and they're being placed in business. They're being placed in their skill set, which is maybe media, education, religion. Some of them are teachers. Entertainment. Some of them are put into some sort of celebrity status. And overall, there's seven mountains. And we can, it's crazy, it's based on our expertise in life, if we're not able to test the spirits, we can enter a church, we can yoke ourselves to the teaching, to the leadership of that church, which we're supposed to do that. The Bible commands us to do that, but we're not supposed to do that with false teachings and false prophets. And so we need to be able to read the Bible for ourselves. I was at a church conference a couple of months ago, and one of the teachers said, just the same way the FBI tests money, they don't study all these false, dollar bills and whatever it may be. They test the real thing. And once they study and know the real thing, they can then easily test the false stuff. And it's the same way now. If we read the Bible for ourselves and we know it, if we go to a church that's teaching false doctrine, we're going to know immediately. We're going to get up and leave. And so that's part of the Christian faith. God allows us to make mistakes. He allows us to go our own way. He allows us to have certain experiences. So as we mature spiritually, we're able to then help other people out as well and share our stories. And so this is a very real movement in our society today. It's called the Seven Mountain Mandate. I personally do not endorse Mike Todd at all. Or anyone he's associated with. I should have known that when I saw him on some New Age spiritual podcasts that I used to watch, like Lewis Howes. If you click on the content on there, they'll teach you how to manifest your desires. They'll teach you how to reprogram your subconscious mind. Like these are in manifest money and love and soulmates. Like this is all New Age stuff. And so if you are a man of God preaching the gospel, why would you want to be associated with false teachers? You wouldn't go on their podcasts. And so by the grace of God, I'm out of this stuff. And it breaks my heart because in especially a large church, if you're part of a mega church, you see this stuff often. You see the Bethel, you see the Hillsong, these false teachings crept into the church. You see these false doctrines and people just hook, line, sinker in. Then they end up in average jobs or whatever it may be, placed in society thinking they're there to, lead people to Christ, but really they're yoked to some false doctrine and they're frustrated and they're sick and nothing's happening in their lives. And what I've noticed is the people who are aware of what they're actually engaged in are the ones who are exalted to the so quote unquote the top of the mountain. And it's sick. It really is. It's disgusting. It's spiritual deceit. It's spiritual manipulation. And once your eyes are open to some of this stuff, it's very hard to look at the world the same way. I mean, a lot of people, you can go on YouTube right now and type in occult to Jesus, New Age to Jesus testimonies, and you have hundreds, maybe thousands of people who have been saved out of this movement. And of course, there have been millions of people saved out of this movement. This goes back 2,000 years. Acts 16:16, Acts 19:19. You see people in the New Testament being saved out of witchcraft and occultism and various forms of mysticism and spirituality. And it's no different today. And unfortunately, there are false Christs. Unfortunately, there are false teachings. And if we don't know the Bible, if we don't know the gospel, it is so easy for us to fall into Enneagram type churches, prophetic word type churches. And maybe somebody can. I've had experiences where people have spoken into my life, said, hey, I really feel like the Lord's putting this on my heart for you. And it was something I needed. And it was actually something I was praying on that day. That's great. But you need to be able to test and discern. Test and discern where that's coming from. Test and discern the fruits of that person. Test and discern what they're actually saying. And if there's somebody that's saying, hey, I'll charge you this amount, sow this seed, I have a word for you, and that's every day, and it's spiritual pride, that person's lost. That person is lost. I think of 2 John. Don't even greet them. If they don't come to you with the teaching of Christ, 2 John says, don't even teach them. Don't even greet them. Don't entertain their teaching. And so, you don't have to hear it here. It's very abundantly clear that, people are being led astray through this movement. It's all over the internet, on Christian, theological platforms through Reddit, YouTube, whatever it may look like, where people are sharing their stories, some more traumatic than others. But don't be deceived just because something speaks into your life, whether that is TikTok or YouTube or somebody shows up and just says, hey, don't be deceived. The enemy is crafty. The same way somebody would be deceived through a psychic. If they go sit down with a psychic, that is demonic, right? That is demonic. That psychic is opening themselves up to something wicked. And that demon can communicate to that psychic to communicate to you and deceive you and then do something in your life to make you convinced that what is truth is coming through a demonic source. Now tell me if a false prophet can't do the same exact thing, who is out here leading people away from the true gospel into false gospels, yoking themselves up to deception and darkness. The enemy is crafty. He's going to attack one thing the most, and that is the church or the truth. And so, yes, this is my reflection video on the New Apostolic Reformation. If you guys want me to go deeper into this type of content, deeper into this video, deeper into the NAR or whatever it else may look like, or share some of my other spiritual testimonies, stories maybe is the better word, please leave them down, leave any questions or comments down below. But until then, hope to see you guys in the next video.